While the legacy and mainstream media are focused on Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, which is an important story, and Donald Trump's tariff policies, which is also an important story, they are largely missing what I think, politically speaking, in terms of power, who's going to control chambers of Congress. They are missing what I think is a absolutely gigantic story, which is the decision by Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Texas state lawmakers at the strong urging of Donald Trump to reopen the state's congressional lines in an attempt to redraw those lines to make them more favorable to Republicans before the 2026 midterm elections. And what that decision has sown, which is a bunch of Democratic-controlled states now saying, well, we might do this same thing. Now, I get it. It's the drawing of congressional lines may not strike you as the sexiest or most interesting story of the day, particularly now that Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson are an item. I mean, who saw that coming? But I am here to tell you, my friends, this is an absolutely critical story to understand if you care about politics and the battle for control of the House in 2026. And let me tell you quickly why you should care about the battle for the control of the House in 2026. Because here's the reality. Donald Trump is going to be president through 2028, at least. The Senate is a hard lift for Democrats. Republicans have a 3-seat majority there. Democrats would need to net 4 seats in 2026 to retake that majority. Possible, but unlikely. But in the House, Republicans only have a 3-seat majority at the moment. And if midterm election trends hold, the party in power usually loses seats, particularly when the president is unpopular, then the House could well flip to Democrats. It is without question Democrats' best chance of flipping a chamber in 2026. And if they controlled the House, they could, yes, obviously put a slowdown or a stop to some of the legislation that Donald Trump wants. And they could also use the House's oversight powers to investigate things like Donald Trump's politicization of the Justice Department, Donald Trump's pressuring of law firms and the media to do what he wants and to pay him off, Donald Trump's crypto scam. Right? And there's so many things that they could investigate that a Republican-controlled House isn't going to do, but that a Democratic-controlled House would do. So it's about much more than just the lines in Texas or other states. But I do want to go through what the new Texas map would do. It's out today, Wednesday, July 30th, so we know what the map looks like. And then what other Democratic states are doing in response to it and how likely they are to succeed. So I'm going to get into all of that in just 15 seconds. And in those 15 seconds, I'm going to tell you why you need to subscribe to this channel. 2 words: independent, authentic. I am independent from the big billionaires and big companies that own legacy media. It's just me. And I am independent from the 2 political parties. I'm just calling balls and strikes without fear or favor. Authentic is the second word. I'm always going to tell you what I think based on my decades in the political reporting and journalism sphere and watching politics and talking to politicians and talking to sources. I'm never going to tell you what you just want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I think is the truth and the reality. So I'm not doing fan fiction, but you'll always get it from my heart and from my brain. Okay, so let's start with the new Texas map, which the Texas Republican legislature unveiled on Wednesday. So then start here. Right now in Texas, Republicans control 25 House seats. Democrats control 13. It's actually Democrats control 12 right now because Sylvester Turner, a Democrat, died in office. That seat is vacant. But trust me, in November, when there's a special election to fill it, a Democrat will win if it's under this current map. All right, so 25-13 is the current split. What the new map that has been proposed would do is create 5 more districts. So move the districts around. Obviously, you're still going to have 38 congressional districts, but move them around so that Republicans would have a better chance of winning 5 of them, which would move them, if they did win those 5, to a 30-8 seat margin. It would add 5 seats to the Republican majority just in Texas alone. So how would they do that? There's two big focuses of this Republican map. The first is in the Rio Grande Valley, the extreme southern part of Texas, where these are majority Hispanic districts where Democrats used to win overwhelmingly, but since 2022, at least, Donald Trump and Republicans have been doing much better. These districts are major targets of this plan. So that's spoke one. Spoke two of the plan is that Democratic seats in the Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas areas are being targeted. Basically, what they are doing in this map is called like a hub and spoke approach. The hub is the main downtown area that's very Democratic. But what these maps do is they take a little bit of that hub and then they spoke it all the way out into the suburbs that are more Republican and dilute the Democratic base in the city in any one district. So this map is wild. There's a number of new districts under this map where a current Republican incumbent would have to face a current Democratic incumbent. There's a seat where Greg Cillizza and another member from the Austin area, Lloyd Doggett, would have to face off against one another in a Democratic primary. There are 6 districts in this map, 6 of the 38 districts where no incumbent lives. No incumbent lives. So an incumbent could move there or they'd have to recruit people. But this map would create, basically chaos for the average person who probably doesn't even know what member of Congress represents them anyway. But this would make it even harder. And Texas has until August 19th to make this happen. Now, remember, they have very big majorities in the state House and the state Senate. And Greg Abbott is a Republican governor who wants to make Donald Trump happy. And so I think they probably get this map through, which could potentially add 5 seats to the House majority. Okay, so let's talk about let's talk about 4 big Democratic states where there's at least talk of countering what Republicans are doing in Texas. Now, I will tell you, in none of these states is the effort to redistrict, which is supposed to happen once every 10 years in the start of every decade, to redistrict in the middle of a decade. None of these efforts in these 4 Democratic states is anywhere close to as advanced. There's no map, there's no special session, etc., as it is in Texas. So let's go through them. All right, California. Overwhelmingly Democratic legislature, Democratic governor, and Gavin Newsom. Right now, Democrats have 43 House seats to 9 for Republicans. The problem in California is that voters gave the power to redraw lines to a commission. They took it out of the hands of state lawmakers and put it in the hands of a commission. Now, Newsom, the governor, thinks that what he could do is have the Democratic legislature cook up an entirely new map that would make it even harder for Republicans to hold the 9 seats they currently hold, and present it to voters, and voters would be able to vote, yes, we want that, or no, we don't. Now, there would be legal challenges, again, because a commission drew these maps. The power was specifically taken out of the hands of the state legislature, but Newsom thinks he might be able to do that. That's probably the Democratic redistricting state that's the furthest along. All right, New York. Right now, New York has 19 Democratic members of Congress and 7 Republican members of Congress. The issue here is the state constitution in New York bars mid-decade redistricting. And even if that was challenged and overturned, it would be very hard to get a map in place between now and the 2026 election. So it maybe 2028, but it wouldn't counter in 2026 what Texas appears to be doing. New Jersey. In New Jersey, Democrats have 9 congressional seats to 3 for Republicans. Again, like New York, the state constitution bars New Jersey from holding mid-decade redistricting. Now, that's true unless a court says that the current lines are not lawful. Could they find a court to say the lines are not lawful? Maybe, but I don't know that that's a likely thing just because Texas is doing what it's doing. Last one, Illinois. So J.B. Pritzker, who's the Democratic governor of Illinois, wants to run for president. He wants to be seen as someone countering Donald Trump's efforts in Texas and other places, Missouri, Florida, maybe, to redistrict. So he's out there saying, well, if Texas does it, Illinois will do it. Here's the problem. Right now, Illinois is a gigantic Democratic gerrymander. And what I mean by that is the Illinois districts, congressional districts, were drawn by Democratic lawmakers last go around in 2021 to really make it hard for Republicans to win. So right now, Democrats have 14 congressional districts in the state. Republicans have 3. It would be hard to squeeze another Democratic swing district out of the map because it's already been drawn to do exactly that. So J.B. Pritzker may have the will to do it. I just don't know if the map actually could work. So look, again, this story matters. I know it's easy to get lost in all this line drawing and why are lines being moved, and it feels too in the weeds. I get it. But I am telling you, if this Pandora's box is opened, and I think if Texas passes this map, the Pandora's box is open, what you will see is that any time a party takes complete control, that's governor and the state legislature, in a big state, or even maybe a small one, they will begin to look at the map and see if they can find ways to squeeze another seat, 2, 3, 4, 5, to help their side. It is an absolutely vicious cycle that we are about to enter in on, but it will have profound effects about how House members run for office, how the parties consider, is this about in between elections, or are we meddling with the map in between elections to change your party's chances? This is a profound change if it happens. And I think with Texas's map, it may well happen. And once we do that, the genie is out of the bottle, people. So that's why it matters. Control of the House is critical, and this will make control of the House an even more difficult to figure out proposition every 2 years because we might be running under different maps every 2 years. All right, that's it for me. As always, I ask you a couple things. One, if you have not subscribed, hit subscribe on this channel. Second, you can like and comment on this particular video. That helps me grow my following among people who aren't subscribers yet. Helps me get my content out in front of people who don't subscribe. Last thing, just tell somebody about what I'm doing here and why you think it's important, why you think it's valuable, independent and authentic. I always pledge to adhere to those North Stars. That you have my word on. All right, everyone. Take care.